Yusuf. Through this video, I will be talking about the resources that we can actually create within our cluster and under a specific namespace. So let's say, for example, if we go to our Google cluster default namespace, we can see some of the resources. The first one, which is workloads, and here we can create the deployments, we can create the services, load balancers, and we can even add persistence volume to this cluster. If we go to HPA is horizontal pod autoscaler. In this horizontal pod autoscaler, actually we can set some rules for this cluster, telling the cluster how we need to scale up and scale down our clusters or our deployment. So for instance, we can select a deployment and we can select minimum and maximum number of replicas, so our environment will be able to handle this scale up and scale down in an automatic way. If we go to the pipelines actually is the main point where we can enable CI/CD. So actually we can create a configuration on our GitHub repository, for example, or any local Git environment where we can apply at our Git environment some configuration which we call stages and steps. Stages are simply group of actions that should be taken in series, and inside each stage we have a group of steps that actually are executed in parallel. We can use this way of automating the deployment. So say for example, if we are giving a certain step at our code push or taking some tags, actually we can enable one of these stages and steps that will be able to communicate these changes to the rancher environment. So actually this change that we apply to our source code will be taking place and deployed on our rancher through the rules we set inside the pipelines. The next tool, which is IceCube. IceCube actually is a tool for monitoring. When we are trying to create our Kubernetes cluster and use it for microservice implementation, in this case we need such a tool like this one, which works as surface mesh. Simply it enables us to create some rules and to monitor the traffic that actually running between different services. We can create access rule control between these different services. So actually, as long as we are creating a cluster, and in most of cases we need to take this cluster to the next level, which is deploying microservices, handling the communication between these different components that actually running on the same cluster in terms of services actually will be very easy to be done through these tools. So actually it enables us to configure, to set network policy, to monitor and track. So actually this is where it comes handy in this way. And as you can see, it's not enabled by default. Why is that? Because actually it's an external tool, not part of Rancher, but actually Rancher enables us to get it installed within our interface. But it's not enabled by default because actually it requires some minimum requirements in the hardware specs in order to run its control engine that will manage the communication between different services. And then, or finally, we go to these two parts which are very similar to each other. They are secrets and config. If we visited secrets, we will see that we can add secrets, we can add some certificates, registry credentials. In general, secrets are the place where we can define secrets in terms of key and value, and these secrets or secret values can be stored as for all namespaces within the project or for a specific single namespace. These values will be available later on for calling or for referencing from other YAML files. So for instance, if I need to store a password, store an API key, and I need to put this in one of my YAML file, instead of having this critical and secure value in this YAML file, which might be open to many people, I can store this secret value here and just I can reference to it from the other file. Config is very similar to service, so actually if I check this config map, I will find it's actually seems like to be the same as the secret, where we can add a name and actually select namespace, and then we can store some values as key and value. The main difference between saving key value items in secrets and in config is that secrets will keep them encrypted and config will keep them as plain text. So if we have something that actually very critical, we should keep it in secrets. If we have normal configuration, we can just put it into the config map. And this is for these tabs of resources. Thank you so much and hope you enjoyed this video.